Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson here with some transfer talk before we get stuck into Monday Night Football. So I'll be out here before 8 so we can go and see what happens in tonight's match. How are you doing? Are you all right? Didn't have an editor in yesterday. Didn't manage to record anything yesterday. So we're doing 2 videos back-to-back live, which means tomorrow is going to absolutely blow because it means that I'm going to have to do about 9 videos during the day. But it's all good. It is what it is. Hope you all enjoyed Vibe with 5 this afternoon. It was pretty decent, I guess. Controversial. I'm sure it's pulled out all sorts of headlines at the minute. Obviously, Rio responding to Jamie Carragher's comments, and I'm sure Jamie Carragher is probably right in the process right now of stoking that fires because he seems to do quite well doing that. Good evening, everybody in the comments. Obviously, we didn't go too hard on Joel. Honestly, it feels like bullying at this point. Feels like we're going a little bit too far. But that's that, isn't it? And then we're obviously going to talk a little bit about Kim Min-Jae, and we'll talk about where this is all sort of spurned from and if there's any truth to it. A lot of people in the comments talking about Rabiot's mum. That's an interesting one. Brian says we just need players, doesn't matter where from, once they're good enough. Yes, I don't know what that's in relation to. Oh, someone's got, we need more overhyped British players. Well, Kim Min-Jae is not one of those. So, let's get stuck into it. Howie says, praying Dean Smith's tricky Leicester can do something tonight. I don't think they can beat Liverpool, but I do smell a draw is doable in this somewhere. John says, vibe was spot on today and 5 things was excellent. Hey, thank you very much. Why am I wearing Dortmund colours? Am I scouting for them? I am allowed to wear different T-shirts other than black. I don't often. I would say it is a go-to colour. Why is that? Well, not quite the Steve Jobs thing of just wear the same shit every day, but certainly not that. Just takes down decision-making, doesn't it? Can you imagine, like, wearing mad patterns all day long and being like, oh, am I feeling fucking this colour today or am I feeling this colour? Listen, every day I feel like wearing black, so I can rock that without any sort of fucking problem. John says, love the chat on the mentality with the youth. I actually had quite a lot of comments, not just on the video, but also people DMing me as well and wanting to continue that conversation, like about 15 people. So that was interesting. And I appreciate all that sort of feedback and that. Do I wear light blue shirts? I do sometimes, but not often. More of a like a buttoned up shirt that I would wear light blue. But yeah, not really a fan of the light blue t-shirt. Don't know why. Not a city thing. I'm not scared of any fucking colour like them lot are with the fucking blue ketchup. But yeah, one of those. John says, gutted to bits is out for the season. Feels if he needs to be brought in next season. Yeah, I've done a couple of videos discussing that, and I think my thoughts are pretty well known on this front. Bernardo Suarez there with a super chat says, I'll take Kim Jong-un if it meant I'd never have to see Harry Maguire put United kit on again. Wow, fucking hell, we're going to have to do something to beat that for a comment tonight, aren't we? Anyway, let's talk about Kim Min-Jae. Who is he and why are United interested in him? We did a scout report on him back pre-World Cup, if you want to go and have a look at that. And then we may or may not have, I'm trying to think how we carefully word this. Just asked a commentator that might have been commentating on a South Korea match to maybe link him to United, just to see what happens. And they may or may not have delivered. If you go and have a look during the World Cup, you see that there might have been a commentator that said, someone round the pool told me. What they didn't tell you is, I was the fucking someone round the pool. And we weren't in the pool, we were in the gym. But anyway, so that, look, the links during the World Cup were me, and it was fucking lies. However, there does seem to have been some interest, and it does make sense in all honesty because he is a very good player, very assured player, very solid player, and I think his style of play absolutely suits the English game all over the gaff. So Kim Min-Jae, apparently destined. Was it Mr. Merp? No comment. Anyway, the Kim Min-Jae, apparently destined for a transfer of Old Trafford now. It's just a matter of details, according to reports. Obviously, that has changed because it was just fucking entirely fabrication during the World Cup. But that can change. Obviously, he's certainly a player that would suit Manchester United. Hence why we did a scout report on him in the first place. So it's claimed last week that United had opened talks with representatives of Kim and had submitted a colossal contract offer. Over the weekend, though, it was reported that Chelsea could potentially hijack that move for United. Now, for me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They've got some really good centre-halves, so quite a nice broad range of age profile amongst their centre-halves as well. Obviously, Silva being at the top end of that, the likes of Colville at the bottom end of that. And I think that if they do move for a centre-half, and let's be honest, it's all on the table when it comes to Todd Boehly. It's all on the table when it comes to Todd Boehly. I think that there's a real chance that they do move for this. So I certainly would... Look, if there's anyone linking anybody to a transfer and Chelsea are involved, I think you have to take it seriously because, let's be honest, they might buy anybody, including players they already got. And that was reported over the weekend. Now, Kim's played an absolutely massive role in helping Napoli storm to the Serie A title this season. 33 appearances, and he's helped Spalletti's side keep 16 clean sheets. It was Genadari, who claimed that Chelsea would look to use both Pulisic and Koulibaly, who obviously only joined them last summer, for a lot of cash, as part of the deal to get Kim Min-Jae to Stamford Bridge. And I still think there's an absolute fire sale to be going on at Chelsea now. I'd love to see anybody getting in the mix on that. Spoke about it a little bit today with Rio. I think it was on camera. Talking about Levi Colwill. Levi Colwill, I would absolutely go and try and get as backup at Manchester United. Whether or not they're going to do that, I mean, I don't assume they would be, but I'd absolutely do that. But if we moved Harry Maguire on, I think Lindelof's proven to be a really able backup, but I still think you probably need one more, and probably someone that's a bit of a different profile, certainly physically, a lot more robust, and I think Kim fits that sort of profile in my idea. But that was apparently something and nothing, according to Il Mattino, which is via Sports Witness, and they said the local rag in Naples claim intermediaries have convinced the defender to sign for United. I like it a lot. Transfer window is now just supposedly a matter of details, and like I said, some reports claim that those intermediaries are also working to get Victor Osimhen, so there's a chance that the two situations are intertwined. Now, for me, the amount of money you would have to spend at Napoli, remember, right? Not a cheap place to go shopping. Ask anybody. Napoli, not a cheap place to go shopping. I think you're going to get your ass handed to you if you try and buy both of those guys out at Napoli. But interesting to see how that plays off. Now, if you do sign Kim Min-Jae, I think that's the end of Harry Maguire. Now, United have got this FFP thing hanging over our heads to some degree. I guess we can kick it down the road a little bit with amortization, not 8 years like Chelsea have done, because I believe they're either closed or are closing that little loophole now, restricting amortization to 5 years, I think they've said they're going to do. That means that FFP is an issue for United, but it still means that we can spread the transfers out over the length of the contract that the players are going to come in on. So that's not too massive a drama, and also we can include sales at that point as well. So I think there's some sellable assets at United, and I think Sancho, I think Maguire, I think Tony Martial, possibly a Donny van der Beek, and maybe a Fred and or a McTominay as well. I think you could raise in excess of 150 million by selling all of those guys off. And maybe even a little bit more. Manchester City managed to get 50 million apiece for Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. So I think United could raise some decent funds that enable us to go and spend a little bit more in the summer window. So I wouldn't necessarily say that United are going to be hamstrung by FFP, but it sounds like it's a factor they're going to have to try and deal with. And I'm going to get to some of you guys' comments in here as well. Nemanja Vidic, I don't think that's the real one, says Varane age prime for a centre-back in modern football, but he is injury prone and we need better cover. I agree with that one, in all honesty, as well. George says, people call me Osimhen in Naples because I'm black. I'm not going to comment on racismo in Italy, but it doesn't sound too far-fetched with some of the stuff that you see coming out of Italy. Do you even look anything like him, or is it just like, there's a black guy, that'll do? Axel to be released, says Miles. Hope the best for him. He's one of my could-have-beens. Yeah, same. Axel, I absolutely thought could have done anything in the game, but injuries have just shown you that you need that run. Wayne says, did I watch the women's final yesterday, and how do I feel about giving the women's team more coverage? Personally, I won't give the women's team more coverage, and that's not anything to do with the women's team. It's just that I want to give the academy more coverage. That's more relevant to the sort of content that I currently create. I don't religiously watch the women's team, and it'd be inauthentic of me to start just harping on about this when I don't do that. I do believe there should be more content for the women's game. I do believe there should be more content creators in the women's game. And I do believe that women's football should be given as good an opportunity as it can get. And that'll be my involvement in it. I can't make all the content I want to make at the moment. So I'm not just going to make content because it ticks a box. That's not what I'm about. You know, there's people that have got a genuine passion for that. And I make content about stuff that I'm genuinely passionate about. So I'll leave those people to do that, and I'll do the stuff that I'm going to do. Dwayne says, hope we see more of Amad and Palestri next season. Reason why I believe we should let Sancho go is those two. Interesting. Drillbit says, any plans to send Phil Jones another letter to join Paddock now he's a free agent? We might have other former Premier League players that are possibly better than him. Certainly less injury prone, although that's a low bar, admittedly. Shab says Phil Jones to Wrexham. I don't know if he could play at Wrexham. Genuinely don't know if he could. Simon says, do I think top 4 is nailed on? Absolutely not. And if the worst happens, do I think we still have power in the market? Yes, I still think we would have power in the market. However, yeah, it's diminished. Why hasn't Palestra been given more playing time? Couldn't answer that. IR says, can Paddock afford to pay Phil Jones 70 grand a week or whatever he's been stealing for the club for years? Listen, if Phil Jones wants to come and have a trial, we are holding a trial, TBC, but probably on the 24th of June. Signing on fees about 75 quid. And we have removed the subs for the first team. If selected, he wouldn't have to pay subs. That's about as much as I could offer him. Matthew says, thoughts on Ethan Galbraith being on the rumoured list of players that are being let go. He's looked really good. He's looked really good on loan at Salford, and I imagine he's probably been asked if he wants to stick around with there. Mr. Fade says, what is wrong with Phil Jones? I don't know if you're asking in a philosophical sense or if you're asking about what his actual injury, because I don't actually know what his injury is. Hostad says, Steve, what one Southampton player would I take? I'd take Ward-Prowse. Some people have got other ideas, but I would take him in all honesty. There's someone writing in Korean. I have no idea what it says. Thank you. Or potentially go fuck yourself. I don't know what's being said. So let's just cover both bases. Matthew says, hope you get him. Join Man United, good player, strong player. I think we're talking about Kim Min-Jae there. Wrigley says Sancho loan move to a Champions League could defo doing some good next year. I don't know if that's absolutely mental, in all honesty. This Jadon Sancho at Dortmund was literally behind only Messi in terms of like assists and goals. So that's crazy. He just needs to find his feet and then see what the script is. Ocean Man says, feel for Jones. Hope he can turn his fortunes around in life in general. I don't agree. I think that if Phil really wanted to go and get on with a career, he would have gone. There's been opportunities for him to go, and he's chosen not to go, and he's chosen to sit there on a contract. So it is what it is, as far as I'm concerned. Ash says, no point putting Sancho on loan unless it's in the Prem. He's already proven himself in Germany. There's one. When Kim Min-Jae came to Naples, he mocked him for 3 packets of cigarettes, but now he's a hero in Naples. Man United mocked him too. When have United mocked him? I don't know when that happened. All right, so apparently the translation of what was written in Korean says, recruiting Kim Min-Jae is to acquire more than one player. He changes teams. That's potentially talking about character, I assume. And I think that there could be a real good point to that. Yeah, character is a massive factor. I was actually talking to somebody in coaching this morning about different recruitment tools and software that exist, and there's one quite famous data-based, within the game at least, one quite famous data-based sort of software that looks at and is used by. Do you know when they say, oh, there was, and it's not Football Manager, they narrowed it down to fucking 302 right backs or some shit like that. But there are literal ways of doing that, and within those ways of doing that, obviously you can narrow down data. You can look at age profile, players who are on the rise up, players on the rise down, players in the last year of their contract. There's a lot of information that goes into this sort of database that can be extracted. And me and an individual that was involved in coaching in player acquisition this morning, we were talking about how I think the future of football recruitment is going to be mass data like this, which can analyze and keep track of tens of thousands of players. I think it's going to be a part of the game as much as seeing XG and assists on TV is. I think that the game has changed into a way where that is always going to be seen. However, I don't think the answer is to go just completely look at the data alone. I still think there's a blended way for you to... is it Y-Scout? No, it's not Y-Scout. I think that is used by some people. I think there's still going to be a blended option because I think you still have to do the due diligence. I think there still has to be an eye test. The data can't tell you if their body shape is correct upon receiving a pass. The data can't tell you how often they scan, can it, Harry? The data can't tell you how good they are in a dressing room, what they're like in terms of criticism. Are they doing extras? The data can't tell you all those things. So I think there has to be a blended approach. Use the data, make a shortlist with your data, and finish it by the eye test and by talking to people. And unfortunately, you're not always going to get the truth when you talk to people. People always tell you everyone's a good lad. No one's ever really going to tell you someone's a dick. And it's sort of as Rio said on the pod, like we're talking about Roy Keane. You know, not necessarily someone you'd go for a drink with, but someone you absolutely want in your team. Mr. Fade says, Steve, why don't we see more managers developing players? I'll tell you exactly why. Because at the moment, there is such a pressure to win at all costs. And there has become this absolute zero-sum short-term gain requirement that people, if you're not successful within 2 years, you're out the fucking door. You have to go and win a title within a couple of years to be afforded the time to maybe start developing some players. And it's wrong, and it shouldn't be that case, but it is. And it doesn't matter whereabouts in the pyramid you fall. So many clubs are doing that. Yet when you speak about, am I talking about Huddle Studio? No. When I talk about this, I'm not necessarily just talking about the Premier League, but you have seen some good instances. Bournemouth, up until very recently, had a model, and it took them from fucking League One, League Two, right into the Premier League, and sustained them in the Premier League for a long time. Brighton, at the moment, are a very well-run club on the back of having a philosophy that they're sticking to, believing in it, and seeing it out no matter what. They are prepared to fail in order to succeed. Prepared to fail in order to succeed. And I don't think there's enough people involved in sport that are prepared to fail in order to succeed. Look at how fast Tommy Tuchel got dragged out into the fucking garden and a bullet in his head off the back of what Todd Boehly was saying or what Todd Boehly wanted, because he wasn't prepared to do whatever was required to make them successful. He just wanted, get me success, get me success, get me success. And he was wrong. And then he brings in Potter, who is a man that is known for doing things very well on a long-term scale, gives in a fucking bullet, not even after, like, what was he, half a fucking season was he in? Half a season, some shit like that. I believe things take a long fucking time for you to really see the fruits of your labour. And you got to remember as well, every single football manager is not working in a vacuum. So a football manager can come in, can definitely improve that football team and still have worse results because the teams around them have improved quicker or more. Like, if I look at what I'm doing with my glorified pub team at the moment, we have played our best football this season. Our most dominant, our most creative, our best defensive, and we are slap bang mid-table. I think I've won 48% of games this season. Previous season, it was up like 70%. So, when you and we went a higher league. But if you looked at both of those seasons and just looked at the data, you go, well, this season was not as good as this season. But I will tell you that the things I thought I knew at the start of last season versus what I thought I knew at the start of this season to what I know now in terms of where that team is at, we are infinitely better. The standards are infinitely higher. That's it. Because we've gone into a place where teams have other things going on. So I think it takes a long time for any new manager coming in to fully understand what they're playing with, and then to understand and get it right what they need to improve that, plus the little things that and the things that they can actually change on a training ground in terms of tactics, this, that, and the other. And as I've always said, there's such a massive overstatement in terms of what people believe a manager is capable of achieving. It's so overstated, and I think it's become, just this massive overstate, because people can change and fire a manager easier than they can 25-man squad. Changing one guy can change the whole mood, can change the tactical structure. But as the data has proven, you can occasionally get a little bit of a lift because there's a new message and a fresh approach, and there can be tactical changes. Some guy recognises that the previous guy didn't. But for the most part, a team's going to perform around about as good as that team is. And most people overstate the importance of what a manager can bring. Recruitment is the number one thing. And it always has been. And it always has been. Like, take Brian Clough, for example. We book up here? We haven't. Brian Clough. Him and Peter Taylor had this incredible knack of finding players, bringing them in, recognising the Moneyball thing, recognising players that were incredibly undervalued, bringing them in at Nottingham Forest, and getting them to work together as a team. They didn't work on tactics. He just found the best players and put them together and went and won back-to-back European Cups, right? Fast forward 15 years to when he's getting Nottingham Forest relegated out of the Premier League. Did he forget how to play football, or did his recruitment not quite work as well? Do you know what I mean? Recruitment is everything. Recruitment is absolutely everything. Neil says, I love Korean players' mentality since Park. Is Kim good enough for United? I believe Kim is good enough for United, yes. Ash says, where you start from every season always changes, and that can affect attitude and determination too. Correct. Seth says, Real Madrid do it. Real Madrid do what? Captain says, you're saying we should have stuck with Ole. Usually when someone says, so you're saying, generally no. That's not what I'm saying. Nihal says, quick recap of the news, please. The news is Manchester United have open talks, allegedly, with representatives of Kim and have offered a colossal contract. Chelsea seemingly come in and might hijack it. However, it seems like intermediaries have convinced the player to sign for Manchester United. If true, it is about the right sort of time you would start seeing things like this kind of happen now, I think. George says both Jim Radcliffe and Sheikh Jassim said they wanted to be involved in transfers. That's worrying. Totally agree. Donnelly says, let's hope Leicester can beat Liverpool tonight and cement our place in top 4. Hopefully relegate Everton in the process. Wouldn't be a bad night. Tariq says, it's so hard to plan towards who to buy with this silly ownership issue lingering. Totally agree. Luke says, love to see your opinions on Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas. Not a line-leading striker, but reminds me of Javier Hernandez. Interesting. I was hoping to get over to Dallas during the summer because I got some friends that are actually at FC Dallas, involved in the higher-up side of stuff there. John Gall, if you know him. I think he's involved with recruitment or coaching. Not sure actually what it is that he does. But he's at FC Dallas. I was hoping to go over and see him. But I don't think I'm going to make it over to Dallas on the tour now. Z3 Music Official says, sorry I'm late. And if you've covered this, but if this Kim Min-Jae transfer is real, could see it as an icebreaker to get Victor too. We did sort of cover it a little bit, that supposedly the same intermediaries are also working to get Victor Osimhen. And there is a chance that the situations are entwined, is what the reports are saying. Excuse me. Jeff says, is he a middling MLS player? He would never make the pitch in Premier League. How genuine is the $6 billion bid from Qatar true? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Everyone's under NDA, yet shit's getting leaked left, right, and centre. So who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Any reason why we don't scout in the Championship? I don't know. And I think I think the top end of the Premier League, you need genuine, like, generational sort of talent. Regardless of we think this guy's shit and this guy's shit and this guy's shit. Ultimately, you need to be so fucking good to play at the top end of the Premier League. Just to make waves at the top end of the Premier League. I think that's extremely difficult to do. To just play in the Premier League, to just play matches in the Premier League, there's players in League One and League Two right now that can play in the Premier League. Sometimes it's about a manager believing in somebody. Sometimes it's about, have they got the right pace? It's so fast in the Premier League. Have they got the engine to be able to cover 16K a game? Like, those are sometimes the thing. There's players now in League One. There's probably players in the conference, right? Younger players, I would say, in the conference, not old. I think if you're 25, 26 playing in the conference, you're going to be, you'll be fucking lucky to be able to get in there now. But if you're a teenager, 20, 21, 22, playing in the conference, I think you could easily play in the Premier League. There are players in there that I've got fucking touch for days, right? It's about whether or not they've got the game intelligence and the vision to be able to get up into the mix. Yeah, look at Joe Rothwell. Where did he go before he went to Bournemouth? Did he go down to the conference? I thought it was done for Joe Rothwell, I'm going to be honest with you. But now it doesn't look out of place, does it? So Joe went to Oxford, then to Blackburn, and then Bournemouth, and now he's playing Premier League football again. Yeah, well played. Honey Badger says Avram should be forced to stay at Sasha's Britannia in Piccadilly. Nobody should be forced to stay at Sasha's Britannia in Piccadilly. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Why is no one talking about the fact that Hodgson's got a far bigger tune out of Palace than Vieira did? I thought Vieira was doing a good job. And then I thought they got launched out the door with a quickness. But then, yeah, you're right. Hodgson's come in and looks sensational. Emma says, we do get academy youth from championship teams, though. That's quite smart. Yeah. Andre says, Vardy was from what league? They paid £1 million for Vardy from Fleetwood. As Fleetwood, they'd had their promotion to League Two confirmed, I believe, at the time. So it's those. Hostad says, still pissed about the £5 digestives. Do you know what I'm saying? What Sasha's Britannia at Piccadilly? Sasha's Britannia at Piccadilly is, I'm going to answer the £5 digestives things first. So, I saw it on Twitter before. £5, was it £5.39 for a fucking packet of biscuits? The game is fucking gone, lads. The game is absolutely fucking gone. Notch says, I stayed at Sasha's. Fucking hell, Notch. Oh, we've had a Dettol bath since. Fucking hell. Anyways, yeah. Sasha's is a fucking disgusting cesspit that should never have been opened. And it's got to be a front for something. Maybe allegedly, let's just say that. It's a fucking minging. It's a fucking minging hotel. Anyways, Liverpool's kicked off. Let's go watch that. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll be back tomorrow. See in a fucking bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer. Hang on, before I go. Honey Badger says, Wave Bar karaoke next door though. Mint. No, that's not Sasha's. Sasha's is a little bit further up on Piccadilly. Just past the Greggs. That's the Britannia Hotel where Wave Bar's next to. And I used to fucking I used to work at Wave Bar just before I joined the army. Did like from summer there. And it